think she needs tuning. Hey, Wonderhussy here, just hanging out by another rustic outhouse in the middle of nowhere in far southern Arizona at a ghost town called Ruby. Now this is a pretty exceptional ghost town because there's a ton of buildings still standing and they're all pretty well preserved because it's actually a privately owned ghost town. I think there's a group of families that owns it and is preserving it. I think they're trying to get National Historic designation, but they allow people to come in and tour the ghost town. You just have to pay $15 a person and get a permit, sign a waiver, print it out and bring it with you. But yeah, $15 a person, and then you're free to explore the whole ghost town. It seems like a good deal to me. I'm really looking forward to it because, well, I'm here with a friend of mine, and he's actually been here before, and he was telling me that there's some really amazing buildings here. And what's more, the history of this place is wild. Now, it's funny, too, because on the website they say there's bathrooms, but this outhouse is the actual bathrooms. No friggin' kidding. So I guess if you're one of them fancy big city types, well, you might want to bring your own toilet if you come here, or you might want to stay away altogether. Anyway, I guess I'm just going to kind of walk around and see what I see, starting with this awesome old dump truck here, which some of my car people will be happy to check out. Try to guess what that is, guys. Oh, it's a Ford, my lord. Wow, look at that. It looks like it has a black eye because of the one shattered window pane. Okay, so we're kind of standing here in, well, what I guess you could call downtown Ruby. That's the road you come in on, and it kind of comes down here to this sort of, well, there's this little intersection. You can see there's a little sign there with an arrow pointing to the check-in. So to check in, you got to drive up the road there. There's a little, I think it used to be the old courthouse on top of the hill. Well, that's where the caretaker lives. And let me tell you something, he was a cool guy. He was British, originally from England. And he said he came out here the last 17 years, and I guess he liked it so much. Well, he ended up moving out here. Can you imagine? Him and his family, I guess, live in this ghost town. And this friggin' ghost town is remote. I mean, I think we're 4 miles from the Mexican border, kind of south of Tucson. Way, way, way out in the middle of nowhere. It's got to be, gosh, at least an hour, 2 hours to the nearest Walmart grocery store. So I guess he's living the dream, living in a ghost town. Anyways, after we checked in, I kind of parked right there at the junction, kind of, well, centrally located so that I can hike around and explore all the various buildings that are dotting these hillsides. And there's some amazing ones, which this one here is one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most. It's a school. Now, the friend that I'm here with, he came here before, like I said, and ever since then, he's been telling me I need to get down here. And it was mainly because of this schoolhouse. He said the schoolhouse is really cool inside. So, well, lucky for him, I finally made it down to Tucson, and here we are. And I'm about to finally go inside this schoolhouse for myself and see if it's as cool as he said. Okay, haha, look, there's this sign out in front of the schoolhouse that says the donkey bus was used for many of the sites around Ruby. Oh, wow, interesting. Yeah, I guess there were different little mining encampments all over this area, and apparently they had to bus the kids in by donkey. What I find is most interesting about this ghost town is that it's fairly recent. I mean, the boom years were the 1930s. I think from 1929 all the way through 1940 is when this mine was producing. And I think it produced something like $10 million worth of, let me see, copper, lead, zinc, and then I think a little bit of gold and silver too, but $10 million worth from 1929 to 1940, okay? What else was going on between 1929 and 1940? The Great Depression. Can you imagine, people were busted and waiting in friggin' soup lines everywhere around the country, and, well, apparently the people here in Ruby were doing just fine. Which this schoolhouse kind of bears out because it looks like it was a pretty substantial building. Oh, look, there's even the old flagpole still out front. Let's see if we can go up. This is what's cool about this place. You have to sign a waiver basically saying that you won't sue them because, well, you can see it would be pretty easy to fall and break an ankle here. Or for that matter, it'd be easy to get bit by a rattlesnake because of all this grass here, and so that's why I got my boots on. I mean, all joking aside, there are supposed to be a ton of rattlesnakes around here, and mountain lions, and some say they even heard a Mexican wolf howling. I'm not sure what the difference is between a Mexican wolf and a regular wolf, but God, it's probably even worse. And what's more, there was documented sightings of a jaguar here. Okay, a jaguar. I guess it was like 10 years ago. They spotted this thing and tracked it, and it died. They know that, but gosh, if there was one in the area, there might be more. So not only do I have to worry about the usual desert beasties, snakes and scorpions and wasps, I gotta worry about friggin' jaguars. Okay, let's go in this schoolhouse. Oh, wow, some shade. That'll be nice. It's hot. I should note that I'm here on October 30th, and it's friggin' hot. I think it's supposed to be like 80, upper 80s today, maybe even 90. So I can't imagine what it's like down here in July and August. So if you do plan to come visit Ruby, keep that in mind. And one other thing to keep in mind is you're actually allowed to camp here. Look. You can see there's a campsite right there with a campfiring. I think you have to pay an extra fee if you want to stay overnight, but oh my God, can you imagine any friggin' cooler place to camp than this ghost town just 4 miles from the Mexican border? Okay, so apparently this is a two-part building. This is the schoolhouse over here, and then this is a museum that is kind of new. I think he said they put some pictures up or something of the people who used to live here. So let's go in the schoolhouse first. Oh, wow, cool. Look at this. Wow, you weren't kidding. This is a cool schoolhouse. Holy moly. Okay, well, let me just close the screen behind me. Let me stand in the corner and just kind of pan around the room. So these look like these are some of the old photos he was talking about. And then there's books, artifacts. And then on this side, there's a friggin' blackboard still on the wall. Oh my gosh. And some more old-timey furniture. And then these old-timey desks. Look at that. Those are the kind of desks that used to have inkwells. You know, when they used to write with a friggin' pen and ink. Look at that. Oh my God, I love how hands-on this ghost town is. Look, that was the little inkwell. Well, I feel like I'm in Little House on the Prairie. Wasn't that like Little House on the Prairie where there was that boy in class who took the girl's braids that was sitting in front of him and dipped them in the inkwell, the tips of her braids, so then she got ink on her dress? I think that was Little House on the Prairie. It sounds like something Nellie Olson would have done, if you know what I mean. Wow, this is something I've weirdly always wanted to do, was sit in an old-time school desk. And now I made my dream come true. And then look over here. Here's where the old school marm would have sat, you know? The beautiful school marm, all prim and proper and buttoned up. You know what I mean? Like she probably had one of them high neck dresses buttoned up to there and her hair all wound up in one of them like Gibson girl buns until one night some miner struck it rich and invited her out to the saloon for a romantic dinner. And well, before you know it, that long, beautiful hair was coming out of that bun, and them buttons was coming undone. Or maybe it was a school master, maybe it was like a gay guy who came. He went to college back east, got his fancy teaching degree, and then they sent him out to this godforsaken, lawless borderlands mining town to teach these miners' kids who had to ride a donkey to get here. Hey, who knows? Okay, well, there's just so much friggin' information here that I can't possibly include all of it in this video, or the video will be like 17 hours long. So I'm just gonna pan around the room, pointing out items of interest, like this awesome old gas stove, 3-burner gas stove. Look at the little gas tank on the right. That's cool. And then here's all the books. I don't think these books are period authentic. Reader's Digest, I don't know. Maybe that was around in the 20s and 30s. Okay, and then here on this long blackboard on the wall, there's a bunch of old pictures of, well, first of all, there's a chart of all the friggin' rattlesnakes in Arizona that we gotta be careful of. And then below it, there's just a bunch of old-timey photos of people who lived here. And apologies, but there's a lot of reflection from the windows on the glass, so it might be kind of hard to see. Looks like all the girls from Ruby got together and took a picture. Oh, look, apparently it snows here. They're sitting in the snow there. Wow, can't imagine it ever snowing here. It's so friggin' hot. Just a bunch of pictures of people who used to live here, pictures of how the buildings used to look back in their heyday. Look, here's a picture of the whole town, a panorama in the 1930s when it was booming. Oh, here's all the miners. Aw, cute, look at them. Looks like a friendly bunch of guys. Wonder which one's the one that got into that school marm's dress. Oh, look, and then there's even a picture inside the mine. I don't think you can go down inside the mine anymore, but I bet it was deep and dark in that mine. Okay, and then this table in the middle just has some core samples, some mining implements, drill bits, an old pot, bunch of random old stuff that they collected. What is that, a pencil sharpener? Oh, it's a lamp, a carbide lamp. Look at that. And then there's a map of the whole mine here. Look at that. That was like quite a system. The Montana Mines. I guess that was the name of the mine. Ruby was the name of the town. I don't know. Here it says map of the Ruby Mine. I don't know. Anyways, that's pretty cool. It goes as deep as 700 feet, I think. Wow, can you imagine? Okay, wow, that was pretty interesting. Let's see what's next door. I mean, it says museum over here, but that seems like that was the museum. Oh, wow. Look what's in here. Holy moly. Dang, look at that old-time piano. Can you imagine? Oh, all the drunken miners singing and dancing around that thing. This looks like it's just kind of being used for storage, I guess. But look how cool these rooms are. You know, look at the ceiling. Falling apart, but still in pretty good shape considering. And all these awesome windows. Random chairs. Oh, bats of Arizona. Apparently there's like a huge colony of Mexican, oh god, what are they called? Something tail bats. Mexican free-tailed, maybe? That live inside the mine shaft. And if you're here at dusk in the summertime, they all come flying out. It's supposed to be very dramatic. And it would be just one more reason why this would be such an awesome place to camp out. I mean, my friend and I are just here for a visit, so we'll be gone by the time it gets dusk. But if you were camped out here, imagine how cool that would be. Okay, wow, what's this sitting on top of this desk? Is that like some kind of old-timey radio or I don't know, you guys tell me, what is this? It says, it looks like ant coupling. Is it like an antenna coupling? So maybe it was a radio because it says something about frequency up there. Wow, what a mystery. I can see inside it. Interesting. Man, I just love how this stuff is just sitting around and they let you, I mean, they just let you come in here and, you know, futz around with anything you want. Oh, unfortunately, the old, oh, there, look. One key works. You know, like, again, I have to draw a comparison to Bodie Ghost Town, which everybody keeps telling me I should go make a video at. Bodie is nowhere near as cool as this. I mean, yes, it's well preserved, but you're not allowed to go inside anything. And you sure as heck aren't allowed to play the piano there. Ooh, I think she needs tuning. Okay, so that was the schoolhouse building. Now we're out here behind the school, and I hate to say it, but I think these were the school bathrooms. Can you imagine? I seriously doubt there's anyone watching this video who was alive in the days of school outhouses. Oh, well, wait a minute. These weren't outhouses. They were actual ceramic toilets. Look at that. I mean, you have to figure the 1930s, I guess they had real plumbing, even way out here. I don't know, man. Wow. 3 of them. I don't know how many students were at the school. I mean, according to the sign here, it was grades 1 through 8. And I think this town had a population of like 1,200 at its peak. So I don't know how many kids that would have been, but I guess 3 bathrooms would have been enough. Oh my God, and then look at this. So I guess out back here was like the playground. Look at the slide is still standing here. Well, there's a few things noteworthy about this slide. Okay, first of all, it's ridiculously tall. I mean, for comparison, there's the friggin' roof of the schoolhouse. This thing's higher than a 1-story building. That's probably like 2 stories tall. It doesn't have any, well, I was gonna say it doesn't have any side rails to stop the kids from falling off. Although now that I look at it, it does have those splintery wooden boards. I mean, how'd you like to run your hand along that when you're going down a slide? Youch. And for that matter, God, this thing must have been hot. I mean, it's hot as blazes right now. I can't imagine what it's like in the heat of summertime. And moreover, it's kind of flimsy. Like, when I just touched it, the whole thing started wall. But look at that. Yikeroos. You know what I mean? Like, kids today are so coddled and spoiled. Their parents today would never in a million years let their kids climb up a slide like this. I mean, look how the 2 sections of it are sort of like bolted together. And, well, unfortunately, it looks like the good people at Ruby removed all the rungs from the ladder to prevent people like me from trying to go down it anyways. Kind of reminds me of that water park. I think that was in Kansas City, that Schlitterbahn that had that really, really tall slide where that poor kid was decapitated on. I wonder if those guys had anything to do with designing this slide. Okay, well, let's keep walking. We've got a lot of ground to cover. Okay, well, what we're doing now is we're walking up the hill from the school to where the old jail was. Okay, this is a pretty rough looking jail. Concrete box. I think there's like a, if you can see that up top, there's just like one little pipe for ventilation. There's no, oh, there is a window. Well, let's just go inside. First, let's see what the sign says. This jail was constructed in 1936 at a cost of $600. When asked what was done with those who needed to be confined prior to having the jail, Deputy Sheriff Fred Pyatt replied, "We just chain them to a tree while they cool their heels." I wonder if that's true. I know there's a famous jail tree in Wickiup, Arizona, I was just reading about, where it's some mesquite tree with like irons screwed into it, and supposedly they used to just chain people to that tree and until the whatever sheriff from the next town could come get them. Huh, interesting. It says, because there were no bathroom facilities nor any way to heat the jail in the wintertime, it's thought that this structure might have just been used as a holding cell before transporting a prisoner to Nogales for a more permanent stay. Nogales isn't that far from here, so I guess that makes sense. Okay, let's go in the jail. All right, are you guys ready to see what it's like in this? It's probably gonna be so friggin' hot in here. Although, I don't know, it's concrete, it might be cooler. Holy moly. Oh, it is cool. Wow. Can we go in? We sure can. Oh my god, I love this ghost town. Oh, it's just being used as storage. Boring. It is noticeably cooler in here though. So I guess that's why that sign said that about there being no way to heat it in the wintertime. Look at this door. It's like a solid friggin' iron door. Okay, so remember how I said there was some really wild history here? Well, the next place we're gonna go is where most of this wild history went down, and it's far friggin' out. So right up here, up the hill from the jail, was the old Mercantile. It was the only store in town. I think it served as a post office too. And well, what's noteworthy about it is the first storekeeper and his wife were both murdered by Mexican banditos. Remember, we're only 4 miles from the Mexican border. And well, you can imagine how it was here back in the friggin' 1920s. It was wild, man. I mean, talk about the Wild West. It really was. So the first storekeeper and his wife were murdered. And then another guy bought the store thinking, oh, well, what are the odds that they'll murder 2 storekeepers? Well, let me tell you something. The odds were pretty good because guess what happened? Some Mexican banditos came in and murdered him too. And his wife. And it was a terrible story. Let's see if we can get inside. I think it's just a foundation, but you know, we can actually stand where all these horrible murders happened. Okay, so when the second storekeeper and his wife were murdered, I don't remember what year it was, but apparently these banditos, they saw these banditos come riding into town like, oh, who knows, maybe through that canyon, or they saw them from a distance away and thought, oh, better go open the store up. They might need to buy some supplies. So he went into the store, and sure enough, the Mexicans came into the store, and I think they bought some tobacco. And when the storekeeper turned his back to get the tobacco, they shot him in the back. And supposedly he had a pistol there under the counter, and he grabbed it and he tried to, you know, shoot back, but it was too late, man. He was dead. And then this is the worst part of all. This is very grisly. If you're squeamish or easily offended, you might want to stop watching this video. But his wife was right there, and they shot her too. They shot her in the neck so that she couldn't scream. And then they used the butt of the pistol because they noticed she had gold teeth. They busted out her gold teeth with the butt of this pistol and then shot her in the chest and killed her. Now you tell me, why didn't they just kill her first, put her out of her misery, and then bust out her teeth? That just seems really grossly inhumane, even by bandito standards, if you know what I mean. So yeah, not only was the first shopkeeper and his wife murdered, then the second shopkeeper and his wife were murdered, and now the law was really on the lookout. I think this was like the biggest manhunt in Arizona history. In fact, I think they even used, remember, this was like the 1920s at this point, so they had airplanes. I think it was the first time a federal aircraft was used in a manhunt. But it's really interesting, the way they figured out who committed the crimes. You know, just some anonymous Mexican banditos ran away. Well, some friggin', I think it was like a saloon keeper down in Sonora, Mexico, at some cantina down there, heard somebody bragging, or I can't remember exactly, something to do with he heard a customer bragging about having some gold teeth he was trying to sell. Or maybe the bartender himself had the gold teeth and he had gotten them from some guy named whatever the guy's name was. And so some lawman from the United States was down there in Sonora, like, investigating, and he overheard the bartender talking about these gold teeth, and he said, "Oh, what'd you say the guy's name was?" And so that's how they got the name, or the lead, on this bandito who supposedly committed the murders. I mean, he was one of a gang of like 7, I think. I think they ended up catching like 7 people and executing them. I'm not exactly sure. There was conflicting history. I read up about this place on a couple different websites, and there were 2 more deaths sort of associated with the bandito gang. Once the banditos were taken into custody, I guess 2 of them were being transported somewhere and the car crashed. So the lawman that was driving the vehicle died, and the other lawman that was with them was grievously injured, and the banditos escaped out of the wrecked car. Now, they called that 2 more homicides in one of the accounts I read. Well, that doesn't make sense to me because the guy driving crashed the car. It wasn't a double homicide, and the other guy lived. So I'm not really sure how many deaths these banditos were actually responsible for. Anywhere between 4 and 6, I guess. Well, I guess it's open to interpretation, but yes, it was the biggest manhunt in history, or history at that time, I guess, and, well, the first use of a federal aircraft was used in that manhunt. So that all happened right here in this little town of Ruby. They call it the Ruby Murders. You can look it up for yourself. I'm sure I didn't get all the details right, but yeah, just Google the Ruby Murders. Really fascinating and grisly history. And I wonder whatever became of that poor woman's gold teeth. Okay, so that was the Mercantile. I'm guessing maybe after 2 sets of shopkeepers were killed, nobody else wanted to open it again. I don't know. And then here's a really nice kind of overview of the whole valley. We just stopped in at the car to get a drink of water and some pepper spray, just in case we get attacked by a mountain lion, a Mexican wolf, or a jaguar. You never know. But while we're here at the car, there's also something of note here. We parked right by the site, which there's nothing left. I don't even think a foundation of this. I guess there was kind of like this little diner here, Case's Place Lunches, and it says they served ice cream. Can you imagine? Malts, milkshakes, tea, coffee, and sodas, including Delaware Punch. Oh my God, I wish this place was still open right now. I would die for a malt, a milkshake, or an ice cream. I'm not sure what Delaware Punch is. If anybody knows what that is who's watching this video, please comment below. I mean, it sounds like it'd be alcoholic to me, but, well, then they wouldn't be serving it at a nice place like Case's Lunches. Okay, so up here on the hill, this looks like it must have been somebody's house. One of them fancy muckety mucks. And it's in pretty good condition, considering, it's been sitting here for almost 100 years. Nice wooden floors. Had a real nice open concept kitchen. Look at that. Sink. Plumbed. Look at this really nice little sideboard. Oh, cute. Somebody put a little bouquet in that juice jar. Wow, man. This must have been a pretty nice house. Look at this. Beautiful views out the windows, too. I mean, can you imagine? Sit here on a cold winter's day, looking out at the gorgeous friggin' mountains. Oh, this looks like it was a bathroom. Indoor plumbing. Oh, there was even a shower. Oh, yikes. Okay, this is going in my creepy shower hall of fame. But even creepier is, I mean, is this the friggin' toilet? That is, without question, the most terrifying toilet I've ever seen. Wonderhussy in Toilet of Terror. The Toilet of Terror. It instills terror in all who dare sit upon it. Sit upon it if you dare. God, can you imagine like some hand comes up out of there and like drags you down into the underworld? Yikes. Okay, enough goofing around with the toilet. Look at the wallpaper. You can still, well, first of all, look, they had electricity in here. You can see the old freaking light switch. Isn't that crazy? And you can just barely make out the pattern on the wallpaper too. Okay, now we're coming up on the mine shaft. And then I guess this building over here was where they process the ore or something. Unfortunately, it's got one of those signs on it saying it's in unstable condition, so we can't go in. But since the window is wide open, we'll just poke our nose in and see what we're missing. Oh, wow. Holy cow, I guess this is that shaft where the friggin' bats fly out of at night. Oh my God, let's look down it. Holy cannoli. That is a deep shaft, man. Unfortunately, you probably can't see, and I forgot to bring a flashlight, but it goes down so friggin' deep that I can't see the bottom. And in fact, I feel a very cold blast of wind coming up out of it, which I'm not gonna lie, feels really good on this hot day. But yeah, look, man, yikes. I'm standing right over this shaft that's so friggin' deep you can't see the bottom. Now, don't worry, I've got one boot firmly planted on this super solid crossbeam here, and another one planted on, well, this not so solid crossbeam over here. But it just blows my mind that they let you do this here. It's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, this country is so friggin' litigious, meaning that people are so happy here that it just boggles my mind that there's anywhere in this country where they trust you to make your own dumb mistakes. I guess that's why they have you sign a waiver. Okay, holy cow, what was this? Well, thankfully there's a sign here that'll give us some information. Tailings! Holy cow, they filled this whole canyon in with mine tailings. It's amazing. That's a lot of friggin' tailings. And it's like this, it basically just looks like sand, you know? I feel like I'm at the beach. And then it happens to be right here by the edge of this beautiful lake. Look at this. This was the town lake. Gosh, as far as mining towns go, this was actually pretty nice. I mean, think about it. They had a pretty nice school. They had a friggin' ice cream parlor. They had a lake. Well, they had just about everything except for a bar and a brothel. Huh. Well, on second thought, maybe this wasn't such a nice mining town after all.